Hi everyone, welcome to my journey from California to Alaska. This is part 3. In this video I am basically driving through Canada. I probably won't have the entire journey through Canada in this video, but this will be a lot of challenges, I can already tell you right now. So yesterday I have left Squamish, which was a beautiful campsite, and then I didn't really know where I was going to stop. I was just going to drive about 300 miles and then look for a campsite. And I was driving through these huge mountains. It was gorgeous. It was very difficult. I couldn't even really enjoy the scenery because I have come upon some incredibly steep inclines and my poor truck was almost not going to make it. I always go in third gear and I have not had any problems in the past 5 days. But now going up, all of a sudden, it could only go with 10-20 miles per hour and it was struggling. And of course, I always keep my eyes on the temperature and it was climbing, and when it got to about 3/4, I pulled over to have it cool off, and then about 10-15 minutes I kept going, but I was so worried. Mostly because I didn't know how long this was going to be like that. Hours, days, is it the entire Canada like that? It was just very scary for me. So I pulled over a few times and I was just going as, you know, I was just trying to make my way nice and slowly. And then I remembered that I had actually filled up my trailer with water because I didn't know where I was going to camp and I thought I might have to do dry camping. So that's a lot of weight. So I pulled over. I dumped all that fresh water on the highway. I figured if somebody stops, I could explain it to them. This is just fresh water. And I think that helped. That was probably, I don't know how big my water tank is, but I mean, if it's like 30 gallons, that's almost 200 pounds. And I'm sure everything makes a difference. So that helped, but I still had some struggles after that. Slowly, we made it up top, and this was super steep because I looked at the elevation and it was about 800 feet when it started and then got up to about 4,000 feet elevation, and only in a very short time. I mean, it took me an hour, but only because I was going so slow. It was probably this steep and it was just too much. A little bit my truck can handle, but it was just going on and on. So that was very scary. So after that, it flattened out and I was going downhill and I was hoping it's not gonna go all the way down and then all the way up, but it was going downhill a little bit, so we were okay. And then it started to have all these downgrades and it said 12%, you know, be careful. So I said, okay. But now we were going downhill and I said, okay, well, I've done that and I had no problems. I have new brakes, I have trailer brakes, everything is fine. And it was okay. I was just kind of scared, thinking there's no way I could come back up on those hills. There were maybe 2 or 3 of them. And then there was one more and it said, I think it was 13% or 11 or something like that. But it had all these warnings: check your brakes, you know, pull over, check your brakes, be careful. It said it so many times. So I was like, okay, it's the same thing. And oh my goodness, it was going down and down and down such a long time. And then it had these pretty big curves. I mean, almost like a U-turn. And I had my foot on the brake almost all the way down and we were okay. But I thought if it gets steeper, what if I can stop? And I didn't want to shift lower to second gear or first, because when I was going up, I remember I tried to put it in second gear. I thought maybe that would help, and my truck wouldn't move. So I don't know what that means, but I was like, I am not gonna mess with anything while I'm driving down this hill. So I just kept in third gear and I could smell my brakes, and it was scary. I couldn't enjoy the scenery. I was too busy praying and talking to my truck, encouraging it to make it. And eventually it flattened out. I pulled over. I got the dogs out and let them run around, give them some water. I let my truck take a little break. Maybe like 15-20 minutes we waited. And then I went on, and then it was okay after that. I didn't want to stop. I was just so glad that my truck was just going like nothing ever happened. I was going with 60. That is pretty much the speed limit here, sometimes 70. But it was pretty flat, just a little bit of inclines here and there, but that's perfectly fine. So I ended up driving 300 miles and I found this campsite. And last night, as soon as I pulled up to this campsite, I'm sure all the mosquitoes were super happy, because as soon as I got out, I got attacked by probably hundreds of them. And then I remembered that I have these pretty cool bracelets. They actually work so well. I have already used them in Washington and Oregon because there were some mosquitoes there too. And I already have all these marks on me and scratches because I didn't put them on right away. And then I remembered, like, wait a minute, I have these. So all you have to do is you take this, right? And then you open it, you take it out and put it on your arm. You could use it as a hair, you know, scrunchie, or on your ankle, and you put it on. And I'm telling you, as soon as I put this on, I saw mosquitoes come up to me and sort of like stopped, and then they went on. So this was really great. And you can then, when you're not using it, you could put it back in here and then seal it, and that's it. So if you're looking to get some of these, I would highly recommend it. After all those challenges and struggles going uphill and downhill, luckily I didn't have any other issues. The land is overall pretty flat or just small variations, so thank God that is okay. And then I was looking for a campsite that had Wi-Fi because cell phone service is absolutely horrible here, and I haven't been able to really upload a lot of things, and there are people wondering if I'm alive. And so having a Wi-Fi at a campsite was important to me. So I found this one, and I have kind of mixed feelings about this place. For one, the owner is super nice, she's very sweet, but they have very strict rules. So my dogs have to be inside the trailer, so they are right here chilling with me, and they're actually okay. This might actually work out, but they said quiet time is 9 p.m. until 9 a.m. in the morning, and I couldn't have them outside. There were some dogs walking by and they started barking, and then the owner's husband came out and got on my case, and I was just like, oh my God. So they said that they can't have that happen. I cannot have my dogs sleep in the truck in the crate like before. They have to be inside. And I took them for a walk. This campsite is really not that pretty. I mean, I have a big trailer right next to me, and I cannot even have a campfire. They don't have anything like that set up. There's one table outside, and it's so beautiful outside. You know, I wish I could see the sunset. The sun actually goes down at 10 o'clock at night, so it doesn't get dark until almost 11. And I wish I could have just sat around the campfire outside and look at the sunset and just enjoy it. But right now we're sitting in here, and if I try to go outside, these dogs are gonna try to be crazy, especially if I walk away, they're gonna start barking. So I'm kind of not happy about this right now, and I don't know how I'm gonna eat anything. I can't really cook anything. They're gonna be all up in my business. I'm probably just gonna have a salad. And speaking of eating, they ate their dog food. So I had the food in a bag, in a bucket, and it was getting less and less, but there was probably still enough for about at least 3 or 4 days. And when I pulled over at the rest stop, I saw also eating the last few pieces, and somehow they pulled the bag over the cage, and I'm sure it was both Misha and they ate almost everything. There's maybe 1 cup left, and I was gonna give it to Zima. So now I have nothing to give them in the morning, and I'm gonna have to find a pet store or a Walmart or something to buy them food. So very frustrating day, but it's not the end of the world. I shouldn't complain as long as my truck is okay and my trailer is okay and my dogs are fine and I'm okay. I really shouldn't complain. So right now it is 10 o'clock at night, and when I get to Alaska, the sun will be going down at 11:30, I believe. So that means it will never really go down because it's supposed to come back up at 4 a.m. and it's just never going to be dark. This is absolutely amazing. It is right now 11:15 at night and it's still not dark. The sun went down about 45 minutes ago and it is still this light. It is absolutely amazing. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. This is definitely a life-changing experience. Jump in, go, Zima, go, good girl. Oso, go, Oso, go. It's now 11:30 and I'm so
Misha,
tired,
come,
but I can't go to sleep because I just want to see when it's going to get dark, and I have a feeling it will be midnight by the time it's actually dark as it's supposed to be after the sun goes down. This morning when I woke up, I was so nervous. I have not been nervous like this at all. I was just trying to mentally prepare for those steep downhill areas, and I figured going downhill, gravel on the road and sharp turns is basically a recipe for disaster, and it was just, I was so nervous. So I left and I was waiting for those steep hills to come, and I thought it was going to start right away because that's what the sign kind of said. I kept driving and driving, and it was already 10, 20, 30 miles away, and I was going down and it was nothing. It was I'm so relieved. I mean, yes, they were downhill. 8% is not nearly as bad as 12%, and it didn't last too long. And yes, there was gravel on the road, but it wasn't too bad. And yes, there was a sharp turn. It was sort of like a U-turn, It wasn't bad, it wasn't scary at all. I barely had to tap on my brakes. It was just over a period of about 5 kilometers, like the sign said, which is about 3 miles. So I am pretty happy right now, because I thought that was going to be very difficult and I don't want any more difficulties. So right now I'm just driving, and the next town I will pass is called Whitehorse. It's supposed to be a bigger town, and I will drive a little bit past it, because I do want to drive over 300 miles today. But I am very, very close. I am almost in Alaska. I think I might be in Alaska by tomorrow or the next morning, the latest. So far everything is great. Other than that, Canada is really beautiful, and I am really enjoying the views. There aren't any national parks nearby anyways, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on seeing places. I mean, I could stop and, you know, spend the night and hike and everything, but I just want to get to Alaska. On the way back, I can do all these things. Thank you so much for watching. I am about to enter the Yukon Territory, so my next video will be about that whole area of Canada, as well as entering into the United States at the Alaskan border. Hopefully you have learned from my challenges and experiences and even mistakes, and if you make this trip, you will be a little bit wiser from this video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So stay tuned for my next video. It will be coming up very soon. Once again, thank you so much.